time for the doubt, they counting me out, I'm getting it in, yeah. No time for no loss, I'm paying the cost, I'm in it to win, yeah. Diffuse, mine, it can't be diffused. If you ain't thinking the same, then we playing by different rules. You can't see the vision, we living at different views. Until we complete the mission, keep getting up, never snooze. I walked a mile in my shoes, had the mind of a fool, chasing diamonds and jewels. Trust me, I was confused. Started minding my business and used my mind as a tool. Ended up finding my purpose and found the time to get to it. They told me I couldn't do it, they told me I couldn't make it. They sold it, could never break it. That's sadly mistaken. I need a piece of the pie, I want it so bad I can taste it. They told me like Toby, keep on running, toes they gon' take them. Refuse to lose, built to win, apply myself, I felt it in. No time for the doubt, they counting me out, I'm getting it in, yeah. No time for no loss, I pay for the cost, I'm winning to win, yeah. Refuse to lose, I'm built to win, apply myself.
Welcome back to CTC. I am your gracious host, Carl, and I'm here to go over the week 1 of college football. Yes, I know this is the second week, but last week was week 0. This week is week 1, and we have a full slate of games. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday we have 3, and Monday we have 1. It's just a great week. This is the most wonderful time of the college football season, unless you got to preview it, because them boys, it's a lot of work, but I'm ready for it. Before we get into the show, I would just like for you to like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate all the feedback, all the comments. I appreciate anything. I appreciate just you for watching. Second thing, man, just hopefully you enjoy the show. Got a lot to go over today, so stick with me if you can. So, week 1, I'm gonna do it like, matter of fact, I'm gonna break it down like this. So for my week previews, I'm obviously not going to go over every single game. That'd be crazy. So I'll explain to you what I did for week 1, and then I'll explain to you what I'll do for moving forward. For week 1, I took the 3 best games in my opinion tomorrow at Thursday night. I took the 3 best games and previewed them. Friday, same thing. I took the 3 best games and previewed them. Saturday, I took the 5 best games from noon to 3 o'clock. Yep, noon to 3 o'clock, 3:30 in that time frame. I took the 5 best games, in my opinion, and previewed them. Then I went from 3:30 to 7, previewed the 5 best games, in my opinion. Then from 7:30 into the last game, Saturday, I took the 5 best from that slot. And then Sunday is 3, Monday is 1, so I previewed Sunday and Monday. So all together, I have 25 games to go over with y'all today. Like I said, I got a lot to go over, so please just stick with me if you can. If y'all like, put in the comments if you want to go over some. I'm a degenerate. If you want to go over some betting, I see what I can do there, but I'm not going to focus on it unless y'all put it in the comments. Then I'll gladly go over it. I'll brush up on it a little bit. But first game I have on the docket, Kent State at UCF, Thursday, 7 o'clock p.m. on Fox Sports 1, if you're interested in watching. Let's go over a little bit with Kent State. Kent State has to replace Colin Shalee, Dante Cephas, and Devontae Walker and Marquez Cooper, which Marquez Cooper transferred in the division of Ball State. Devontae Walker tried to transfer, I believe, to Oregon or North Carolina and he's still on appeal with his transfer. Colin Shalee, he went to UCLA, and I think Cephas went to Penn State, I believe. Jawan Newton returns, so I think he's the leading receiver that returns for Kent State. So Kent State has replaced a lot of production there. They have a new head coach, Kenny Burns, who comes over from Minnesota. And so Kent State's kind of a mystery there. On the stats from last year, Kent State averaged 215.2 passing yards a game, 202.8 rushing yards a game. Like I said, their leading back is now gone. 28.4 points per game offensively. Now, defensively, they gave up 273.1 passing yards a game, 160.1 rushing yards a game, and 29 points a game on defense. And not to mention Xavier Williams, who missed last year with the season-ending injury, is now back for Kent State. And Xavier Williams and Juwan Newton are both second-team All-MAC preseason award recipients. So shout out to them. So let's get into a little bit of UCF. UCF, Gus Malzahn. He returns for UCF. John Rice Plumlee, quarterback. He returns for UCF. Led them, like I said, in the passing and in the rushing in my Big 12 preview. If you haven't seen that, please check it out. They lost Isaiah Bowser, who was their goal line back, big bruiser back, third and short goal line. I mean, he came in the game first down too, don't get me wrong, but he was a guy that run in between the tackles, break tackles, things of that nature. And they lost Ryan O'Keefe at receiver. They do have Johnny Richardson coming back. I seen him play both running back and wide receiver, so he's a gadget guy. I think he's mainly going to be running back this year, though, since Isaiah Bowser left. They returned 12 starters on the offense and the defense. 6 on offense, 6 on defense. UCF, had a really nice, high-power offense. They averaged 241.2 passing yards a game, 228.4 rushing yards a game, 32.9 points per game. Defensively, giving up 226.1 passing yards a game, 157.3 rushing yards a game, and 23.2 points per game defensively. So UCF has a pretty decent defense. I would say a pretty solid defense, in my opinion. In terms of this game, we have to see the mystery offense of Kent State, see if Kent State can get Xavier Williams going against UCF. Can Kent State stop UCF run with John Rice Plumlee so dynamic at quarterback? We know he can use his legs as well as his arm. Can Kent State stop that? Last year says no, but this is a brand new year. I honestly don't think they will be able to stop John Rice Plumlee in that offense, which is going to hurt him early. I think Kent State gets down pretty early. Now, I think UCF wins this game handedly. I don't know by how many points. I say maybe, I don't know. I don't know, but I do know that UCF easily wins this game. I think this is one of those games you turn on by halftime. You might check one of the other 2 games that I have on the docket. So with that being said, I'm going to go UCF in this one. I think the run game is going to be too much for Kent State. They're not going to be able to put up points with UCF. They're going to find themselves in a hole early. They're going to try to dig themselves out of that hole early, which we all know that can lead to turnovers. That could be a real dangerous game being played there. So give me UCF. My next game on the docket, in my opinion, best game Thursday night. Might even be the best game between Thursday and Friday night. We have Florida and Utah. Game is in Utah this year. Last year was in the Swamp. It's a rematch for Utah. Florida won last year. Anthony Richardson had a crazy game, but Anthony Richardson's not there no more. The game is Thursday night, 8:00 p.m. on ESPN. So prime time, prime channel. Like I said, best game between Thursday and Friday. Florida has Billy Napier coming back for a second year. Although I'm not a Gator fan, I really like Billy Napier. I think he can change his program. I think he's moving the program in the right direction. He's going to give him some time. But once he has that time, Florida could do big things. But this is one thing I don't like about Florida this year. The quarterback. Graham Mertz named the starter. Like I said in my SEC preview, I felt Graham Mertz held Wisconsin back last year. I think he's going to hold Florida back this year. I'm not a fan of Graham Mertz. Graham Mertz has to show me this year that he can come in and help Florida win a lot of games. I don't have Florida winning many. Now, Florida does have that 2-head monster in the backfield with Montrell Johnson and I almost said Trevor Etienne, Travis Etienne, little brother. That backfield is back. Ricky Pearsall, receiver returns. So there's a couple. You got the backfield. You got a guy. You got a weapon. They have receiver. But Florida has a lot to replace on that defense. We have to see it on defense. I know Ventrell Miller is a big loss. This is named Rashad Terrence. I always call him Terrence. Rashad Terrence is a big loss. So I have to see that Florida defense I know my friend who is a Florida fan, he sent me the Florida depth chart on defense. Like, man, I don't know. None of these guys, like, man, I think we're going to struggle on defense. Well, I kind of think the same thing, but we'll see. We'll see what the guys that Billy Napier brought in this year to see that can help that defense. Now, on the other side, you have the number 14 ranked Utah Utes coming off a Rose Bowl loss to Penn State last year, but are defending Pac-12 champs 2 years in a row. Kyle Whittingham has been the longtime head coach. He's been the head coach since Urban Meyer left to go coach at Florida. So he's been there for almost 20 years. Kyle, these past couple of years, Utah has been phenomenal with Cam Rising at quarterback. Now, there is the question. Will Cam Rising play tomorrow? Right now, we have no signs of nothing. They won't say anything. If it was up to Cam Rising will play tomorrow. But it's not 100% up to him. It's up. One, we don't know how he's recovered from that injury. Two, we don't know if the coach is not thinking about the long game here. So we don't know. If Cam Rising plays, however, that is a big boost for this Utah Utes team. If he doesn't, Utah offense might struggle a little bit because we've seen it in the Rose Bowl, I think, when he got hurt and didn't look that good. Now, it's another year under the backup belt and everything like that, so he probably has a better understanding of offense or who knows what. But Cam Rising is for sure the better option in the situation if he can play. You have Michael Bernard and you have Michael Pittman as transfers in. Clark Phillips and Dalton Kincaid are now gone to the league. Dalton Kincaid at tight end was their leader receiver, so that is a lot of production to replace. Hopefully, the Utah can replace that. And Clark Phillips was their best DB. I think he led them in picks last year, so that's a lot of production to place as well, especially for Utah being one of the better defenses in the Pac-12. So both sides of the ball have some replacing to do, but I think Utah can reload better than Florida. They've shown it by losing when they had Snoop and I blank on the running back name. I think it was Tavion Thomas. I'm not 100% sure on that, but they had guys that had that Devin Lloyd at linebacker. They had guys, so they definitely reloaded from that team there that I think lost in the Pac-12 championship to Oregon. So I think Utah can reload. If Cam Rising is there, that passing game, I think he'll figure it out. Cam Rising is such a good quarterback in that system. He'll figure it out. And this game, oh, my bad. Let's go over the stats from last year. Excuse me. Utah had 249.2 passing yards a game, 217.6 rushing yards a game, and 38.6 points per game. Now, a lot of that is because the Pac-12 don't play defense. So this isn't a Pac-12 team they're going against. This is an SEC team. So I don't think the numbers are going to be that. I think the numbers are fluff because of that. I don't think they're going to be like that for this game. Not at all. Now, defensively, they gave up 218.3 yards a game, 107 rushing yards a game, and 20.4 points per game, which is phenomenal, especially, in that Pac-12. Pac-12 known for high-powered offenses, no defense. Oregon, well, I can't say Washington because Washington actually has a solid defense, but Oregon, who else you got? You got, why am I blanking? SC didn't have a high-powered defense. They were bend but don't break. Yeah, they got turnover happy. They were good at turning the ball over, but defensively, that wasn't it. But you get the point. It's rare that you have Oregon State, a Washington, a Utah in the Pac-12. Even Washington State defense was pretty decent. So Arizona defense is trash. Arizona State defense was trash. Like, y'all get the point. But in this game, I'm going to go with Utah. If Cam Rising plays, the revenge factor, the factors in Utah. Kyle Whittingham is going to have his guys ready. He's going to have them remember the loss they had. I think Utah takes this game. I seen Joe say he got Florida earlier. I just disagree there. I think Utah's the better team. I think Utah has shown over more years that, not over more years, but over the recent years, they can reload better than Florida. So, and I like the quarterback. I like Cam Rising way more than I like Graham Mertz. So, give me Utah in this game. From this Florida-Utah game, we go to Nebraska at Tennessee. I said Tennessee, at Minnesota. I don't know why I said Tennessee. At Minnesota. The Matt Rule Rule World Order starts tomorrow, 8 o'clock p.m. on Fox. I will have this game and the Florida game on. Nebraska comes in as huge underdogs I'll explain why I said that later. But like I said, this is the rule world order. Jeff Sims, the transfer quarterback from Georgia Tech, is now in Nebraska. A very, very, very athletic quarterback. I think this is a solid pickup for Nebraska, especially over the last year by having Adrian Martinez, Taylor Swift years back. If y'all don't remember Taylor Swift, Nebraska has had mobile quarterbacks. With Tommy Armstrong, I believe, was the guy named Nebraska. Nebraska's just been known for the mobile quarterback, so he's going to fit the mold perfectly. I think Matt Rule, great college program changer, and he does it like early and often, like Temple, Baylor. Now he tackles Nebraska. So I think Matt Rule is going to get this Nebraska program in the right direction pretty fast. They have to replace Trey Palmer and Alante Brown. Alante Brown went to my boys, so shout out. But Trey Palmer, who I thought was still in the draft, nice receiver. They got to replace him. We have to talk about the elephant in the room in this game, Eric Gilbert. My heart, man. I had, like, the day before it happened, I had on here in my notes that Eric Gilbert was awaiting the eligibility status. Well, he can kiss that and maybe even being on the Nebraska team goodbye. The video is so sad. It's disheartening that he really did that. I wish somebody could have gotten to him before he decided to do what he did and tell him this ain't the way. Just wait it out. You know what I'm saying? Somebody to point him in the right direction. And then I seen the video. Matt Rule was saying that he was doing well before camp, and then camp comes and they could see he was struggling, making shaky decisions. It's just sad for the guy, man. Guy was the number one tight end in his recruiting class, bounced around from Georgia, from LSU to Georgia. Now here, I was hoping he got a shot finally to play. And now, because of the decisions he made, I'm not going to say it's nobody's fault but his, it looks like it's over. So, sad to see about Eric Gilbert. But moving on, Nebraska last year, which these numbers taken with a grain of salt because the rule world order, 220.8 passing yards a game, 123.3 rushing yards a game, 22.6 points per game, 225.3 pass yards a game, 189.1 rushing yards a game, and 26.6 points per game given up defensively. That was with Casey Thompson at quarterback. I think Jeff Sims might be slightly better. On to Minnesota, who's also had a little controversy. Oh, one little nugget left. Matt Rule, while in Nebraska, while not great for Nebraska standards, it's pretty good for what Nebraska is currently. 31st overall recruiting class. So I think that's going to go nowhere but up from here. But moving on to Minnesota and rock the boat, PJ Fleck, who has a little issues of his own as we currently speak. It's been a little under the radar since it first broke with the whole incident. So I'm not going to dive into it. I'll just mention it. Hopefully PJ Fleck could beat the allegations. But they promoted their tight ends coach to the co-OC. So that'd be interesting to watch. They have some replacement to do too, because Ibrahim Muhammad, one of the best backs in Minnesota University history, is now that history. He's gone. He's no longer there. So tough. I know it's gonna be tough to replace him. They do bring in Sean Tyler and Corey Crooms. Corey Crooms being a receiver, Tyler being a running back. They lose Tanner Morgan, which some Minnesota fans might be happy about that. It's long ago since Tanner Morgan looked great with Tyler Johnson and Rashad Bateman. That time is like 2-3 years ago. So Minnesota fans might be happy about that. Chris Autman-Bell returns at receiver. Now, in my opinion, this is gonna be like an NFL game. It's gonna be a run game, hard-nosed defense. Who's gonna give up? Who's going to give up the big play? Who's going to give up the big run? Who's going to give up the pass down the field? Whose defense is going to break first, basically? And before I get into my winner, I'll go into Minnesota. Minnesota, 182.2 passing yards a game. This is with Tanner Morgan. 207.5 rushing yards a game. Ibrahim is now gone. 28.2 points per game. Giving up 173.7 passing yards a game, so that's pretty good. 105.8 rushing yards a game, and 13.3 defense points a game defensively, which is phenomenal. But that being said, I think the rule world order starts with a W. I think Nebraska gets this W again. Matt Rule, while most doesn't like him as an NFL coach, is a great college coach, great recruiter, great program changer. Think he gets the job done. Think he gets the W. I think he coaches these boys up enough. I think him and his coaching staff comes up with a great plan to beat Minnesota. This is going to be a game where the coaching is going to come into play, and you have two great coaches with PJ Fleck and Matt Rule. So I'm gonna go with Nebraska. I know PJ Fleck got his thing with changing programs. He changed Western Michigan. He's now changing Minnesota. Give me Rule World Order. Give me Nebraska Cornhuskers and the upset by the books. So that's Thursday. We move on to Friday night. And the first game I have on him Friday night, it's only right that we do the interstate battle of Central Michigan at the Woodshed against Michigan State University. We'll start with the visiting team, Central Michigan. Central Michigan has Jim McElwain as their fifth-year head coach. Daniel Richardson transferred to FAU, and Lou Nichols has gone to the draft, so that's big pieces in the Central Michigan offense. Daniel Richardson was an explosive quarterback, not really a thrower, more of a runner. Lou Nichols was a great running back there for the school, but they're both now gone. They've yet to name a starting quarterback, which that's going to be a theme throughout this show, including my team. My team didn't even name a starting quarterback yet. Just spoiler alert. So that's going to be a theme here. A lot of teams not naming starting quarterbacks until day of the game, maybe like hours, wherever the last minute is for them to name a starter, that's when they'll do it. Even I think Tucker even said, we'll see who runs out on the field first. Like, I think it's even going that deep. So that's that. I think there's a lot unknown with Central Michigan here. Like I said, losing that production. I think there's a lot of unknowns here. We'll go over the stats. 208.1 passing yards a game, 160.4 rushing yards a game, and 24.8 points per game offensively, while giving up 223.2 passing yards a game, 151 rushing yards a game, and 28.2 points defensively. Michigan State, Mel Tucker. My guy signed the extension. Everybody didn't know, like, if he would do it or not. Not this year, but the year before. A lot of people said we overpaid him. I don't believe so. I believe in Tuck. Tuck is coming. So y'all better watch out. Mel Tucker. We lose Peyton Thorne and Keon Coleman. Peyton Thorne, it is what it is with Peyton Thorne. I said it before last year. He's hit or miss. It just is what it is. He wanted to go to Auburn, fine, all is well. Good luck at Auburn. You get no shade here. Like, I'm not one of those fans. Like, you want to leave, F him. No, that's not me. So good luck at Auburn with all sincerity. Hope you do well. I hope y'all do well. No bad blood, no bad luck wishes, none of that. Nothing but well wishes over here. Keon Coleman. I said it before in my Big Ten preview. Now I'll say it again. That hurt. That hurt. Keon Coleman leaving. Our big play receiver, jump ball guy, make contested catches. He's gone to Florida State. But honestly, in my opinion, he didn't have that many more years left in college, and he went to the better program. So he went to the program that is fighting for a natty, as opposed to the program where if we win 10 games, we shock the world. So I'm not mad at it. It hurt, but I'm not mad at it. Same thing I said to Peyton Thorne. Same goes to you, Keon. Nothing but well wishes and good luck. So with that being said, we also have Jalen Berger, a running back who returns. Elijah Collins left. And we have Kyle Holiday, the boogeyman, returning that linebacker. Now, MSU issues, defending the pass. We even had Sean Clifford look like, let me think of it. I'll say Christian Hackenberg at Penn State. Not in the league, but at Penn State. We had Sean Clifford looking amazing. We had a lot of guys look amazing, which is not good. And we lose Amir Speed. He's gone to the league. So, man, that secondary is in question. I know it's Central Michigan, but still I'll take it with a grain of salt what I see on Friday, but I still want to see something. But I think we'll be able to run the ball on Central Michigan. I think Antonio Gates Jr., if he plays, I think he'll have a pretty good game if he's going to play. I think we'll be able to move the ball on Central Michigan a lot. Like I said, especially on the ground, I think we'll overpower them being a Big Ten school against a MAC school. No offense to the MAC. Y'all know me. I love the MAC. Shout out to MAC. But, yeah, I think we'll be able to move the rock. I'm going to go over the stats, and then I'm going to give you a winner. So, Michigan State, 240 passing yards a game last year. A lot of that was in catch-up. 113 rushing yards a game last year. I honestly didn't like what I saw from the run game last year, but that's neither here nor there. 24.4 points per game offensively, while giving up 237.9 passing yards a game, 178.6 rushing yards a game, and 27.4 points per game defensively. We have to clean that up. If we're going to win 10 games, we have to clean that up. My last little nugget is that Michigan State doesn't have great recruiting classes normally, but this year we had the 22nd overall recruiting class. I'll take that as a Michigan State fan every day of the week. That's why I don't think we overpaid for Mel Tucker. Mel Tucker gets guys in the MSU. I know we lost the 5-star D tackle, David Stone, but I mean, you're not going to win them all. So good luck to him. But I'm going to go with MSU. I think MSU moves the ball. I don't think it's a great litmus test, but I think it's a great tune-up game. We have two great tune-up games, to be honest with you. I think this is the better of the two. I think you can learn more from this game than the game against Akron for sure. But I got things I'm going to look for. I'm not going to be too oversold on this game. Like, I'm going to be pretty mellow because I expect us to win. But, yeah, moving on. We have Miami of Ohio at Miami University, the U. Battle of Miami. It's Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. on the ACC network. I'm always starting with the visiting team. Miami of Ohio has Chuck Martin, the 10th-year head coach for them. They returned Brett Gabbert. If the name sounds familiar, that's Blaine Gabbert's little brother. Brett Gabbert returns after only playing 4 games last year due to a non-throwing shoulder injury, but he should be back and healthy. Lots of questions with this offense. I know they had Matt Hippenheimer who led them in receiving, but he's now gone to the NFL. I actually wrote this at the time before the deadline of the cutting deadline, so I don't know if he made the team or not. But all luck. Hopefully, you did make the Bengals. I'm not sure though. They were one of the best defenses in the MAC last season, but again, that's a MAC school. It's not an ACC. It's not a Power 5 school. I get these MAC schools. You can definitely get at Power 5 schools, but that's neither here nor there. Last year, 165.5 passing yards a game, 140.8 rushing yards a game, and 20.2 points per game offensively. 235.9 passing yards a game, 135.8 rushing yards a game, and 22.5 points per game given up defensively. So that's a little bit on Miami of Ohio. We then go to the U. Well, now Mario Cristobal is in his second year there. Another guy who's trying to change the program, another former Hurricane who's trying to change the program. I think he will. They just have to give him time. Again, with Billy Napier, they just have to give these coaches time to do that. Tyler Van Dyke returns. And Cam Kitchens, one of the best safeties in the ACC, he returns as well. The thing with Miami of the U last year, separation between receivers was non-existent at best. So these receivers this year have to create separation for Tyler Van Dyke to get them the football. That is a big piece in Miami this year. That's something that we have to see this year. They have to improve both offensively and defensively. Like I said, Mario Cristobal is trying to do his best to turn the program around. He had the number 8 overall recruiting class this past year, so top 10. That's trying to revert back to the old Miami Hurricane form. He's doing a great job, I believe, so far. Should have been a bowl game, a bowl team, but I mean, one bad L ruined it. Just like MSU, we had that one bad L to Indiana. Should have been a bowl team. We blew it. But Miami last year, 239.8 passing yards a game, 128.2 rushing yards a game, 23.6 points per game offensively, 233.6 passing yards a game, 142.1 rushing yards a game, and 26.8 points per game defensively. Joe, I asked you your question. No question. Drake May. Not even close. Sorry, Ace. Drake May. It's Drake May all the way. Drake May with no defense, couple of receivers, 9 games, I think, won last year. Came so close to being Oregon, but took North Carolina to the ACC championship. They just lost to Clemson, who's just a better team. Just better team across the board, except for quarterback, which you got to protect Drake May for Drake May to be good, and Clemson got at him. But I digress. So with this Battle of Miami games, I'm going with the U. I think the U is going to be able to move the ball. I think these receivers are going to create separation against these MAC corners. They're also new receivers. Like, these aren't the receivers of last year. Like, they got new guys in. So I think they'll create separation. Van Dyke will be able to get them the ball. Defensively, I think they'll punish Brett Glaber in this offense, especially with the offense being so unknown. Not a lot of production last year, mainly because, like I said, Brett Glaber was hurt. So I think you win this. Great little litmus test. I would say don't overread into this game. Moving on, we have Louisville versus Georgia Tech. I believe this game is in New Orleans. Friday, 7:30 on ESPN. This is, in my opinion, probably the best game Friday night. Louisville has a new head coach, Jeff Brom. Jeff Brom comes over from Purdue. Louisville is going to roll with Jack Plummer. I think Jack Plummer is projected to start this game. Well, just period. He's projected, to take over for Malik Cunningham, who Malik Cunningham had an amazing time at Louisville. He was in between Lamar and Juwan Pass. Not in between, but he came out to Lamar, Juwan Pass. Just great. We've seen the flashes in the NFL level, so he has a lot of shoes to fill within this year, Jack Plummer does, because I think this is Jack Plummer's last year of eligibility. Really good defense last year. They had a really good defense last year. They bring back Jawar Jordan, running back. They do have to replace Tyler Hudson, who's their lead receiver. I think they get it done, especially having a 24th overall recruiting class this past season. Jeff Brom, one thing he can recruit as a quarterback and a weapon to feed that quarterback. Just remember Aiden O'Connell, Charlie Jones, David Bell. Ronnie Bell, Ronnie Bell went to Michigan. David Bell, remember, not Aiden, but I think it was Tyree Appleby and not Tyree Appleby. That is a basketball player. Just remember the quarterback, and I can't even remember his name, and Rondale Moore. I want to say it was Appleby and Rondale Moore, but yeah, he's good for getting guys. So I think he'll get a guy to help Jack Plummer. Louisville had 205.5 passing yards a game last year, 201 rushing yards a game last year, mainly due to Malik Cunningham and Jawar Jordan. 26.9 points per game offensively, while giving up 206.5 passing yards a game, 140.6 rushing yards a game, and 20.2 points per game defensively. So, like I said, Louisville could build on that defense. They could get Jack Plummer a guy. Jack Plummer can get this offense down. Louisville is going to be all right. Now, they go against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech has Brent Key in his first official year at Georgia Tech. He won the interim coaching job, and now he actually has the job this year. So congratulations to Brent Key, excuse me. They have to replace Jeff Sims, who's again in Nebraska, and Keon White, who's now on the Patriots. Georgia Tech has a lot of work to do. A lot. It's been 10 years since that ACC championship game against Florida State where they lost with Justin Thomas, DeAndre Smelter, and Darren Waller. It's been about 10 years, and they haven't really been to that form since. Georgia Tech, man, uphill fight this year. Haynes King is projected to start for them at quarterback. They averaged 192.2 passing yards a game, 133.8 rushing yards a game, 17.2 points per game, while giving up 212.4 passing yards a game, 189.2 rushing yards a game, and 28.4 points per game last year. That is not good. So I have Louisville winning this game. I think Louisville can establish the run. That defense sinks its teeth into this game. Haynes King might get a little turnover happy. Haynes King didn't really prove as much at Texas A&M. So But who knows what a difference a year may make for Haynes King. It's like I said, it's a lot of work to be done though at Georgia Tech. So I think Louisville is going to come out. They got, I'd say, probably the better coach. And Jeff Brom, he's the more proven coach, obviously. Because Brent Key last year actually did some things at Georgia Tech towards the end of the year that I'll give him credit for. But I just think Louisville wins this game. We go on to Saturdays. Saturday at noon. First game on the docket, Virginia at number 12, Tennessee. You can catch that on ABC Saturday at noon. First game back for actually, you know what? I'll do this. I'll take a moment of silence for the unfortunate events that happened at UVA last year. Thank you so much. This is their first game back since said unfortunate event left the whole world with heavy hearts. Just sad and unnecessary. So, man, yeah, just prayers with them. Hopefully, you know what I'm saying, great year for everybody at UVA as they go back to college and classes and things like that. Just praying for a safe year there. We also had the same unfortunate event at MSU. How can I forget? I'm sorry, MSU. We did have that as well. So moment of silence for MSU as well. Thank you. UVA, Tony Elliott, second-year head coach, has to replace one of my favorite quarterbacks that went in the transfer portal, Brennan Armstrong, who is now at NC State. And they have to replace Fentrell Cypress, who was the best corner in the transfer portal this past year. So that's tough. That's real tough to replace. Tony Muskett is projected to start at quarterback. Well, will start at quarterback, the Monmouth transfer. UVA has a lot of work. A lot. Like I said, a lot of work for Georgia Tech. I mean, even more for UVA, offensively and defensively. Like I said, you have to replace the best transfer corner, and you have to replace, in my opinion, one of the best quarterbacks in the portal. So we all know quarterback is the most important position, and it's so hard to play DB. So that's a tough uphill battle. UVA gained 221 passing yards a game, 123 rush yards a game, 17 points per game, while giving up 204.4 passing yards a game, 153.3 rushing yards a game, 24 points per game defensively. Now they're going against Tennessee and Josh Heupel in his third year at Tennessee. And we all know the great year Tennessee had last year. Tennessee, I think, won 10 games. They won the Orange Bowl against Clemson, I think, in blowout fashion. So Joe Milton looked great. But here's the thing with Joe Milton. That's one game. One great game. Against a really great defense, mind you. So I'm going to give him his credit. But we have to see it over a full season. That's what we have not seen. And I'm rooting for the guy. Guy has the strongest arm in college football. It's not close. It's just accuracy issues, which he shored up in that game against Clemson. But again, we have to see it all year long. Joe Milton could do that. There'll be a shoo-in, in my opinion, for the second place in SEC East. They bring back Jabari Small. They bring back Brew McCoy, who has to step up big for Cedric Tillman and Jalen Hyatt. Now, I guess Cedric Tillman didn't even play for real last year, but we all know how good Cedric Tillman was. And Jalen Hyatt, he won the Fred Biletnikoff. So that's big shoes for Brew McCoy to fill. They return 6 defensive starters. So they'll be able to build on that defense from last year. Tennessee gained 326.1 passing yards a game, 199.5 rushing yards a game, and 46.1 points per game, while giving up 287 passing yards a game, 111.8 rushing yards a game, and 23.5 points per game on defense. Tennessee takes this game hands down. It won't be close. This will be one of them games by maybe the end of the first quarter. You might check one of the other 4 games I bring up on this docket. Tennessee is going to be able to dominate them in the trenches. Tennessee is going to be able to run the football, roll the football at will. Joe Milton can use his legs to run, which might lighten the boxes, which was going to give receivers not lighten the box. Excuse me. He's going to run the football, which is going to bring more into the box. Excuse me. Which is going to give receivers one-on-ones. They're going to win their one-on-ones. Joe Milton is going to go bombs away. This game won't even be close, in my opinion. Give me Tennessee at home. Nice little Saturday win. We're going to go from Tennessee to Virginia at Virginia 2. The game a lot of people might be waiting for. Colorado at TCU, number 17 ranked TCU. Let me give them the respect. Saturday, 12 noon on Fox. Think my eyes are going to be on this one. This might be one of the games. I don't know if it's going to be on my phone or on my TV yet. Actually, yes, I do. It's going to be on my TV. This game is going to be on my TV. Now, like I said, we'll start with Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffs. Coach Prime brings in 50 recruits. This is not, I repeat, this is not the team of last year. This is not the team that went 1-11. No, this is not that. Shedeur Sanders, quarterback. Travis Hunter, the best two-way player in the country. He's good at corner, but he's even better at receiver. I think he should be a receiver when he goes to the league. Shiloh Sanders. You got guys in Colorado. I think Deion Sanders is going to show why he's one of the best recruiters and talent evaluators. This game is, I won't say it's make or break because TCU is a great program under Sonny Dykes, but I think this game is going to wake a lot of people up. I really do. Now, Colorado gave up 264.7 pass yards a game, 245.1 rushing yards a game, and 44.5 points a game. I do not see that repeating again for Colorado under Coach Prime. I don't. Again, Coach Prime is a great corner. He can I think he can evaluate great corners. I mean, I get it. Some people are like, well, Jordan is the GM. He's not good. Well, this ain't Jordan, and everybody's different. And he got Jackson State to multiple conference championships. Now he lost the Celebration Bowl both years, but he got them to their conference championships and won those games. So I'm gonna have faith in Coach Prime this year, not this game, but this year. Now Colorado offense, 172.9 offense. I mean, yards, passing yards a game. 108.3 rushing yards a game and 15.4 points a game. Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter not letting that go down this year either. No, I don't see that either. So, moving on to TCU. Second year under Sonny Dykes. Sonny Dykes led TCU to that playoff national championship. Not playoff. Yeah, to that national championship game. Yes. He sure did. He led them to the national championship game. Like Sonny Dykes. Forgot about that. Would like to forget about that. Because Georgia was up so big at halftime. They was eating chicken wings in the third quarter. Like, it was, yeah. I was so amped for that game to be such a blowout. But TCU is back. TCU has to replace their leading quarterback, the leading passer, the leading rusher, the leading receiver. Kendra Miller, Max Dugan, and Quentin Johnston are all gone. And they got to replace the Jim Thorpe winner, Trey Hodges Tomlinson. He's gone to the pros as well. You have to replace him. It's a lot. Chandler Morris is my projected starter. Again, they have yet to name a starter. I'm thinking it's going to be Chandler Morris because Chandler Morris was the starter last year with Max Dugan. So why not? Why wouldn't he win it this year? But that remains to be seen. A lot of the production is remaining to be seen. Where's it going to come from? Because Quentin Johnston really broke out in that Kansas game last year, which I think was like, week 6, week 7? Something like that, week 5, something around that time. Who's going to break out for TCU this year? That remains to be a mystery. TCU, 261.7 passing yards a game, 193.3 rushing yards a game, 38.8 points per game, while giving up 235.6 passing yards a game, 149.6 rushing yards a game, and 25 points per game. Like I said, I don't know where that offensive production is going to come from. But with that being said, I'm going to take TCU in this one. although I do believe Prime is going to turn around Colorado, and I do think he's going to pass that over under 3.5 wins, it is still game one for Colorado. I don't think it's going to be turned around like this. I think it's going to be some time. I understand that Shador and Travis Hunter had the chemistry at Jackson State, but that whole Colorado team ain't full of Jackson State players. The other teammates got to get involved. The chemistry got to be as a whole, not just them two. So I think TCU takes it. Sonny Dykes, this team, while having to replace all that production, has probably still been together longer than Coach Prime. They've grinded in probably multiple camps. So I think they'll be more, not fresh, but more, I think they'll be able to execute better than Colorado this game, even with replacing all that production. Like I said, it's going to take some time for Colorado to hit their stride this year, which the stride I believe they will hit this year. So give me TCU. From TCU, Colorado, we go to Fresno State at Purdue. So you can watch that game 12 o'clock noon on BTN, Big Ten Network, Saturday. Fresno State has head coach Jeff Tadford in his 5th year there, coming off the Mountain West Conference Championship game where they beat Boise State for the Mountain West Conference Championship. Jake Haener is now on the Saints. You might have seen a funny picture of Jake Haener on the Saints. Mikey Keene, the transfer from UCF, is the starter, named starter for Fresno State. I actually like that. Mikey Keene was at UCF when Dylan Gabriel was at UCF. When Dylan Gabriel got hurt, Mikey Keene played a couple games. Nice quarterback, nice size, nice arm. Tall guy, more of a passer than Dylan Gabriel was more of a runner. I think Mikey Keene is going to step in for Jake Haener. Not be as good, but he's going to be good enough. He's going to be solid. They returned their starting linebackers, corners, and the nickel corner from a pretty good defense last year. So that's really good. They can build on that. Fresno State had 270.6 passing yards a game, 132.1 rushing yards a game, 30.6 points per game, while giving up 193.3 passing yards a game, 157.8 rushing yards a game, and 20.5 points per game defensively. Like I said, they can build on that defense. We move to Purdue under Ryan Walters, first-year head coach there, replacing Jeff Brom, previously stated. Hudson Card is there to replace Aiden O'Connell. You might remember the name Hudson Card from the time where he was at Texas and Quinn Ewers got hurt, and Hudson Card had to step in for Quinn Ewers. He's now at Purdue, replacing Aiden O'Connell. Devin Mockleby and Cam Allen, the safety, are both coming back. Devin Mockleby, the running back, so Hudson Card is going to have a nice runner there. The defense still has a quarterback, their leader, one of their best players. He's back. Purdue defense, decent at best. I just remember them giving up that game against Syracuse last year. That was more so due to a bad unsportsmanlike conduct call, but that defense really isn't great though. But they can build on it, hopefully. They have to replace two main weapons in Charlie Jones and Payne Durham, both gone to the league. So it's interesting to see what Ryan Walters does there. The offense, it might be more dynamic under Hudson Card because Hudson Card can use his legs and his arm. Aiden O'Connell was for sure just a pure passer who may be able to scramble out at times, but he was a for sure passer. Hudson Card more could do both, so it might be more dynamic. We'll see. Purdue had 278.8 passing yards a game, 121 rushing yards a game, 26.6 points per game, while giving up 213.8 passing yards a game, 136.2 rushing yards a game, and 24.6 points per game defensively. So I'm going to go Purdue in this one. I think Purdue gets the passing game. I get Fresno State got their guys at the corner and linebackers, and they might be able to – I think they might be able to keep the game close throughout the entirety of the game. But I think Purdue pulls it out at the end. Hudson Card is very experienced. Mikey Keene has some experience, but not experienced enough. He might make a couple mistakes here and there. Who knows? But I'm going to go with Purdue in this one. I think Purdue is going to have the better passing game. They have probably the better running game in this game as well. If they can shore some things up defensively, Purdue ekes this one out. From that game, we go to Louisiana Tech at MSU. I said MSU. At SMU. Okay? battle of the mid-major quarterbacks. That game is at 12 noon as well, Saturday on ESPNU. I'm gonna just go over a couple notes from the Louisiana Tech games, kind of resembling of my Week 0 recap. So Hank Bachmeier has to be careful with the football. I know he put the ball in harm's way a couple times, even threw a pick. So just be careful with the ball. They have to get Smoke Harris the football. I have that all cap with 3 exclamation points. Get Smoke Harris the ball. Give him the ball early and often. I don't care if it's a screen. I don't care if it's intermediate, slant, dig, out route, comeback. Not really a comeback, but out route. Get him the rock. Get him the ball over the field and let Smoke Harris do him. SMU is not known for defense, not in the slightest. So get him the ball. Be prepared for a shootout. Like I said, SMU is not great defensively. Another key to the game for Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech, wow, I know they held FIU to 4 passing yards last game. Don't expect that. Don't. But what you can do is to try to get a couple stops. Get a couple stops on SMU. I know SMU like throw the ball, mixing the run here and there, but they're an air raid team. They like to air you out. So get a couple stops. That pass defense has to show up this week for sure. Now you're going against a different caliber quarterback and a better quarterback. So like I said, don't expect them holding the full yards. That's crazy. But you have to be ready for the ball to be put in the air. SMU, Rhett Lashley in his second year, at SMU. Preston Stone is set to replace Tanner Mordecai. They also have to replace Rasheed Rice and Trey Siggers. Trey Siggers transferred out. Rasheed Rice now on the Chiefs. Unfortunately, there's a little drop reel on Rasheed Rice. I was on Rasheed Rice. I need him to get these drops together. But Rasheed Rice is now gone. But it don't matter because it's SMU. Time and time again, SMU has guys that's going to light up the scoreboard. Main example being Shane Buechele and Tanner Mordecai. So SMU is going to light the scoreboard up. They had 316.7 pass yards a game, 156.2 rushing yards a game, which was really high, in my opinion, for SMU. 37.2 points per game while giving up 242.8 passing yards a game, 203.2 rushing yards a game, and 34.7 points per game as well. So, like I said, defensively, ain't really much being played in SMU. I have SMU winning the game. I think last week it just took Louisiana Tech too long to get in any type of rhythm. They really didn't finish drives, missed a couple field goals. You can't do that against SMU. SMU is going to light up the scoreboard. You're going to have to try to keep pace with them. I don't think Louisiana Tech can keep pace with them. I think SMU wins this game. Moving on to the last game on the docket at the noon slot, Utah State at Iowa, at number 25 Iowa. Saturday, noon on FS1, if you'd like to check that game out. Utah State is under Blake Anderson within his third year, who had that drop-off between that Mountain West Conference Championship blowout win versus San Diego State 2 years ago. Last year wasn't bad, wasn't as good, though. Nowhere near as good, but it wasn't bad. Cooper Legos looks to take over for Logan Bonner. That's projected. Again, I don't think it's named yet. They have 9 returning starters in total, 4 on offense, 5 on defense. So, bit of a different team than it was last year. Need to find ways to score for sure, especially against this Iowa team whose defenses are always stingy. They win games in spite of their offenses only scoring 10 points, 14 points. Maybe if you're lucky, 21 here, 17. They still win games because you know the motto. They don't score, they don't win. Utah State had 195.2 passing yards a game, 159.3 rushing yards a game, 22.2 points per game offensively, while giving up 198.4 passing yards a game, 198.2 rushing yards a game, and 30.6 points per game defensively. Not good. Moving on to Iowa, where they have Kurt French, who's been a long-time head coach there. Cade McNamara, the transfer from Michigan, is now set to take over for Spencer Petras, which, again, like Tanner Morgan, Iowa fans may be rejoicing that Spencer Petras is now gone. I don't think Cade McNamara is too much of an upgrade. I think he's an upgrade, but not too much more of an upgrade than Spencer Petras. Iowa defense is always a staple. Like I said, that defense, they've always had stingy defenses dating back Desmond King, when he won the Jim Thorpe Award. He had another guy alongside of him. I'm blanking on his name. But Deshaun Cooper, I think his name was, led the team in picks. They had Riley Moss, who just got drafted by the Broncos. So they always Jack Campbell, who won the first round, Lucas Van Ness, just guys everywhere for Iowa. I think even if I remember correctly, AJ is hold on 1 second. AJ Espinoza also went to Iowa, the DN from now on the Bills. So they've always had guys, man. Iowa defense is just always loaded. And that's the reason why Iowa wins this game. Utah State is not going to be able to score against this defense. They might get a touchdown or a field goal if they're lucky, but Iowa defense is going to put them in constrict them like a snake, man. They're going to drain the life out of the Utah State offense. They might even get a turnover. I think they might even get a touchdown on defense, and that's just going to be too much. So give me Iowa in this game. Iowa, 156.7 passing yards a game, 94.9 rushing yards a game, 17.7 points per game offensively, while giving up 173.8 passing yards a game, 104.1 rushing yards a game, and only 14.4 points a game defensively. So, like I said, man, 17 points offensively to 14 points defensively, man. Iowa defense is a lot of reason why they win games. Moving on, we have Boise State at number 10 Washington. Saturday, 3:30 on ABC. Boise State under Andy Avalos, third year at Boise State, coming off the Mountain West Conference loss to Fresno State. Tylen Green returns at quarterback with 2,042 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 6 picks. They had to replace 6 starters on a stingy defense last year, including Caleb Biggers and Tyreek Jones. Both of them are now gone. And, yeah, man, it's going to be hard to do that. They have to set the tone early in this game, or it's going to get ugly. But I'm going to go into the stats in Washington before I go into the game. Boise State, 190.6 passing yards a game, 196.4 rushing yards a game, 29.5 points per game offensively, while giving up 160.7 passing yards a game, 120.8 rushing yards a game, and 18.5 points per game defensively. Like I said, this defense was stingy. Now, we're going to Washington. Kalen DeBoer, second-year head coach here at Washington after a great year last year. Majority of that offense returns. Michael Penix, Roma Duzier. I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing it if I do. Jalen Polk, Jalen McMillan. Those guys are back. That track meet at Washington is back in full effect. Solid defense last year. Washington averaged 369.8 points per game. 369.8 passing yards a game. That'd have been crazy without points. 146 rushing yards a game, 39.7 points per game, while giving up 241.8 passing yards a game, 127 rushing yards a game, and 26.3 points per game defensively. Mind you, that's in that Pac-12. Washington takes this game easy. Washington, like I said, they're going to turn this game into a track meet. Boise State has a lot of replaced on defense, while that offense for Washington is coming back, and they were able to put up points against Power 5 Pac-12 schools. And there's no offense to the Mountain West Conference, but when you're replacing defensive guys against a veteran offensive college team, it's going to be a lot of struggles there. And Michael Penix, I think, is just going to light Boise State up, and Boise State doesn't have the offense to match Washington. I have in my notes, if Boise State don't set the tone early, it's going to get ugly. And that's because, like I said, Washington will turn this into a track meet. And once they do that, it is all over from there. The points are going to pile up. Boise State can't keep up, and then it's just over. So give me Washington in the game. Michael Penix is going to ball. The receiver's going to be hard to stop. We move on to number 3, Ohio State at Indiana. 3:30 Saturday on CBS. If you want to tune in, Ohio State just recently named their starting quarterback Cal McCord to replace C.J. Stroud. So we finally know the starting quarterback there. Ohio State has Ryan Day, who's the 5th-year head coach there. Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Egbuka. I know y'all probably tired of me bringing those 2 names up, but those are the game changers. Those are the guys. It's going to be hard to stop at Ohio State. Then you can't forget about Travion Henderson. who is just the perfect combination of power, speed. Oof, man, Travion Henderson is going to kill you in the run game. So you can't load the box, because if you load the box, I get into it. Defense has another year under Jim Knowles, who was the defensive coordinator under that great Oklahoma State defense that went to the Big 12 championship game. He improved Ohio State defense a lot last year, but just not good enough. But I think he's going to take another step with that Ohio State defense, being with them in the second year. Ohio State had 298.3 passing yards a game, 192.4 rushing yards a game, and 44.2 points per game, while giving up 184 passing yards a game, 119.9 rushing yards a game, and 19.3 points per game defensively. Indiana has Tom Allen, 8th-year head coach there. Taven Jackson, named the starter for Indiana. Indiana has a lot to improve on both sides of the ball as well. Indiana was not a good team last year again. That loss that my boys had to Indiana was heartbreaking. Shouldn't have happened. And I wouldn't say embarrassing, because it is interconference at the end of the day, but just can't have it happen. That game showed me why we're not a bowl team and why we didn't deserve to be a bowl team. Indiana had 217.4 passing yards a game, 110.8 rushing yards a game, 23.3 points per game, while giving up 274.2 passing yards a game, 176.2 rushing yards a game, and 33.9 points per game defensively. Just not good. Not good at all, man. It really isn't. And for that reason, they're not going to have enough for Ohio State. Ohio State's going to score early and score often. Indiana might not score at all. If they might get a late touchdown, a late field goal, but they don't have the guys. They don't have the athletes for these guys on the perimeter. Brian Hartline been a phenomenal wide receiver head coach there. They might even have another guy in the cut messing with Brian Hartline. I know Julian Fleming. He might be a guy where they'd be so focused on those two, Julian Fleming might eat. So Indiana just don't have enough. They don't. I'm sorry. Ohio State wins this game in blowout fashion. It's not even close. Moving on, we have UMass at Auburn, 3:30 p.m. Saturday on ESPN. I want to say, nah, it's not. I say Boise State and Washington is the best game in this time slot, but you might be able to watch this game for the first quarter. UMass, couple notes on UMass. Tyshawn Pumachan, again, dynamic quarterback. Can he get this UMass offense rolling against Auburn, an SEC school, against those guys, them big boys in the trenches? I know UMass is going to be outsized a lot. It's not even going to be close. Them SEC linemen versus them independent boys, man, size is going to be an issue. But can Pumachan get that offense rolling is a big question. Wide receivers have to win one-on-ones, because with Pumachan legs, I know Auburn's going to stack that box. They're going to dare Tyshawn to beat them with his arm. Can he do it? Can his receivers get open one-on-one, create separation to get so Pumachan can give them the ball? That's going to be a big question this Saturday. Can UMass defense get pressure on Peyton Thorne? If UMass can get pressure on Peyton Thorne's going to give him the ball at least once. He is. I've seen it. But they're going to have to give pressure on him. I don't know if they can do that. UMass showed last week. It was pretty good defensively last week. So it's just different going against SEC talent. And UMass for sure better bring their run defense, because I know Auburn with the cocky SEC, they're going to be like, these guys, they can't mess with y'all in these trenches. We're going to run the ball down their throat. We're going to run the ball. They might make it a point to where they're only going to throw the ball if they have to. They better bring some run defense. Now, Auburn, new head coach Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze came from Liberty by way of Ole Miss. He's back in the SEC. 8 starters return on that defense. So, again, can Pumachan move the ball against that? Peyton Thorne has to be consistently good at starting quarterback. What I mean is he can't be up and down like he was at MSU, in my opinion. He has to stack games. He has to have good games week in and week out. It can't be a good game here, bad game here, good game here. No, he has to consistently stack games. 2 new mid-major transfers, and Jair Shorter from North Texas, who had like 11 touchdowns, and Brian Batty, the running back from Southern Florida. He got like 1,000 yards, I believe. So they got two really good transfers coming in. Auburn had 172.7 pass yards a game, which is not really good, but 205.8 rush yards a game. But Tank Bigsby's gone. Tank Bigsby's not there no more. They have to replace that. 24.8 points per game offensively while giving up 222.6 passing yards a game, 172.7 rush yards a game, and 29.5 points per game. I'm going to have Auburn taking this one. Auburn trenches is just going to set the tone. They're going to get the Pumachan. Pumachan might throw a couple picks because he's inconsistent with the ball. If UMass was 0-6 on third downs, I think, to start versus New Mexico State, I think they're going to be facing a lot of third downs with Auburn defense. So give me Auburn. I think Auburn just settles in, run the ball. UMass might not be able to stop the run. Like I said, with those trenches, Auburn's with the trenches, both offensively and defensively. Just a little too much there for the SEC talent. Give me Auburn. From that game, we go to Cal at North Texas. Might shock some folks. Cal, Justin Wilcox. That game, 4:00 p.m. ESPNU on Saturday if you'd like to tune in. Cal has Justin Wilcox, 7th-year head coach. Sam Jackson, the 5th, is the starting quarterback. Jaden Ott, again, if you listen to my Pac-12 preview, running back, I expect to have a jump his sophomore year. Really like what I saw his freshman year. I expect him to make that leap his sophomore year. But North Texas defense at times can be stingy. I know they had their problems with consistent defensive play last year, but Cal isn't an offensive juggernaut. They're not. So North Texas defense actually can settle in this game. Cal returns 18 starters, 8 on offense, 10 on defense. Lots of experience, but a lot of growth to be done as well. But Justin Wilcox can hopefully get that done. Cal had 268 passing yards a game, 96.6 rushing yards a game, 23.9 points per game offensively, while giving up 279.5 passing yards a game, 149.8 rushing yards a game, 27.8 points per game defensively. Again, Jack Plummer is now gone. He's in Louisville. North Texas has a new head coach, Eric Morris. North Texas was in the Conference USA Championship game last year, but took the L to UTSA, one of my teams I'm high on in the group of 5. So Stone Earl was named the quarterback after Austin Aunue. Is it Aunue? Aune. That's how you spell it, but I'm pretty sure I botched the last name pronunciation. North Texas also, their defense needs to show up, like I said earlier. Inconsistent at times. They need to show up this game against Cal. North Texas can score. They can score. They just have to prevent Cal from scoring. Like I said, Cal isn't an offensive juggernaut. North Texas, 261.9 pass yards a game, 199.9 rushing yards a game, while getting 33.8 points per game offensively. Defensively, giving up 271.7 pass yards a game, 188.5 rushing yards a game, and 31.5 points per game defensively. I think North Texas takes the upset W here. Here's why. As I already stated, North Texas defense, I believe, can settle in this game. I think they can. I think they can score against Cal. Cal defense, I think, can be had. I know they don't have Jair Shorter. I know he's gone. I know the quarterback from last year is gone. I know this. But Cal isn't a juggernaut. North Texas is one of the better group of 5 schools, in my opinion. I know in my Pac-12 preview, I gave Cal this W, but I'm switching it. I'm giving the W to North Texas. Then North Texas defense, like I said, settles in. Then they get a couple stops. They realize, hey, we can play with these boys. We can run with these boys. These boys ain't that much better than us. And then it just from there becomes a fight. Then North Texas wins that fight. Give me North Texas in the upset. From that game, we go to UTSA at Houston, one of the better games. This is probably the second best game in this time slot I'm doing. It might end up being the best because of the lack of defense that's going to be played, and I think it might be closer, but yeah. Game is 7:00 p.m. on Fox Sports 1 Saturday, if you'd like to tune in. UTSA, Jeff Traylor, this is his 4th year as head coach, first year in the American Conference. It's funny because Houston just left the American Conference. They're coming off back-to-back Conference USA Championship wins. Now ready to take over another conference. Frank Harris, this is the 7th year quarterback, 5th year playing. Josh Cephas and DeCorian Clark and Kavorian Barnes all returned. Kavorian Barnes being the running back. The offense, while losing Zachary Franklin, is still explosive. Still got guys that can get open. Still got guys that can find the end zone. Just Zachary Franklin was just the best one at doing it. He's now gone to Ole Miss, but this offense is still very explosive. Defensively, a lot of bend but don't break. I know Corey Mayfield, who just got cut by the Ravens, was on that team last year. So they had some NFL talent, but it was, like I said, bend but don't break. UTSA had 300.4 passing yards a game, 175.6 rushing yards a game, 36.8 points per game, while giving up 253.5 passing yards a game, 151.4 rushing yards a game, and 26.5 points per game defensively. We go to Houston under Dana Holgorsen, 5th year head coach there. Clayton Tune and Tank Dell are now gone to the NFL. But Donovan Smith, the transfer from Texas Tech, looks to make this offense as dynamic as Clayton Tune did. Donovan Smith is a guy, strong arm, athletic, can run. Can Houston win a shootout? Can they win this shootout? They had a shootout last year, and SMU hung 80. They lost. They lost the shootout to Kansas. Can they win this shootout? The defense was basically non-existent last year. Like I said, the team hung up 80 on them. There's nothing more to be said. Houston averaged 314 passing yards a game, 142 rushing yards a game, and 36.1 points per game, while giving up 285.7 passing yards a game, 144.3 rushing yards a game, and 33.5 points per game defensively. I think UTSA takes this. UTSA has more of the experience. Frank Harris, like I said, in the 7th year, he got his guys back at receiver. This is going to be a shootout. I'm going to go with the experience and the timing and everything like that when it comes to UTSA. Donovan Smith, yes, he's a veteran in this college game, but his weapons, he's not familiar with them like Frank Harris is. UTSA, while defense wasn't a strong suit, it was better than Houston's. So UTSA could get a couple stops. I don't know if Houston can. They might be able to get a stop or two, but like stacking stops, I'm going to go more so with UTSA on that one than Houston. So I'm going to take UTSA in this one on the road. We go to West Virginia at Penn State, 7:30 Saturday on NBC if you like to tune in. West Virginia, not too much to say about them. Neil Brown in his 5th year there. I think this is a hot seat year for Neil Brown. This hasn't really done much since he's been in West Virginia. Can C.J. Donaldson get the run game going versus Penn State's defense? C.J. Donaldson's a guy, again, I liked what I saw his freshman year. I expect him to take a big leap his sophomore year. Still no starting QB named yet to replace JT Daniels. Like I said, that's going to be a theme here. Has to replace Caden Prather, who's now in Maryland, and Bryce Ford Wheaton, who went to the NFL, who's actually out for the year now. Sucks, I think, with ACL. Defensively, they need to improve as well. So they need to improve offensively and defensively. West Virginia, 227.5 passing yards a game, 171.5 rushing yards a game, 30.8 points per game, while giving up 262.7 passing yards a game, 149.6 rushing yards a game, and 32.9 points per game. You move on to Penn State under James Franklin, who's now in his 10th year there. Drew Allard is projected by all means to start at quarterback. I actually looked it up to be safe if he was starting, and it wouldn't really give me much, but I'm pretty sure Drew Allard starting. Nick Singleton and Katron Island, two-headed monster in that backfield, is going to be – get into that. Kalen King looks ready to step in for Joey Porter Jr. Defense – let me get into these numbers first. Penn State, 252.2 passing yards a game. That's with Sean Clifford. Sean Clifford is now gone. 181.1 rushing yards a game, 35.8 points per game offensively, while giving up 212.8 passing yards a game, 105.2 rushing yards a game, and 18 points per game defensively. Give me Penn State. Won't even be close. Penn State, Nick Singleton, Katron Island, they take over this game pretty early. Drew Allard is going to sling the rock around because he's supposed to be this talented guy. Coming in with all this praise last year as a freshman. A lot of people wanted him to start over Sean Clifford, but he didn't, and that was probably more so because Sean Clifford's the senior. They wanted him to give him his last hoorah, so that was probably the reason. If it was probably like Sean Clifford in the sophomore year and Drew Allard coming in as a freshman, Drew Allard probably might have won that job. So yeah, Kalen King supposed to be a lockdown corner. So I don't know who's the quarterback for West Virginia, but I also don't know who's the main guy receiver for West Virginia. So Kalen King should be able to lock up there. Defensively, I think they sink their teeth into this game. West Virginia barely gets any offense going. CJ Donaldson's going to have to try to be the hero of this game. I think CJ does not get going because Penn State won't allow that. Penn State knows that. They load the box to prevent CJ from getting going. Penn State takes this game probably in blowout fashion. So we go to one of my favorite games of Saturday. North Carolina versus South Carolina in Charlotte. Battle of the Carolinas. It's always a good one. We got, and it's going to hurt for me to do this. We got that game Saturday, 7:30 on ABC. If you want to tune in, we got North Carolina, Mac Brown, his 5th year as the head coach there. Drake May looks poised to be the second best quarterback in the country behind Caleb Williams. Has to replace Josh Downs and Antoine Green, however, at receiver. Both gone to the league. Antoine Green actually just made the Lions, so shout out to him. And Josh Downs is on the Colts. Defensively, terrible. Terrible defensively last year. To the point where they were in a 60-point shootout against App State. Now, App State is a great group of 5 school. Do not get me wrong. But they should not be hanging 60 points on a Power 5 school. No. They should not be in a 60. If I put up 60 points, I expect us to win. Not to have to win by a 2-point conversion at App State. No, sir. Drake May is definitely capable of winning shootouts. Won a lot of them last year. He's going to have to do it again this year. UNC, 309.3 yards per game, 153.5 rushing yards a game, 34.4 points per game offensively, while giving up 276.4 passing yards, 161.8 rushing yards, and 31 points per game defensively. 34.4 points per game offensively while giving up 31 points per game defensively. It's crazy. South Carolina, Shane Beamer, 3rd-year head coach, won a bowl game against these same North Carolina guys. Not the same team, but, the same college. Won the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Had to throw that out there because, you know what I'm saying, I think people playing with us. Spencer Rattler returns. They look poised to have a great year. Started off real rocky last year, started to turn things around towards the end of the year last year. Think he's going to have a great year this year. I think he's more settled in. I think the game is coming. I think the game is just becoming easier to him now. I think he kind of struggled with it. I think everything is just slowed down. Juju McDowell and Juice Wells return, both running back and receiver, respectively. Now, they did lose Cam Smith and Darius Rush, who are now in the league where Darius Rush got cut. Hopefully somebody picks you up. Cam Smith on the Dolphins, especially in this game. Get to that in a second. Trey Knox and Eddie Lewis are 2 transfers. Eddie Lewis from Memphis and Trey Knox from Arkansas, tight end and receiver, respectively. No, Trey Knox is the tight end. Eddie Lewis is the receiver. Nah, man, Rattler's been in probably even less than Sam Hartman, if not the same as Sam Hartman, man. Rattler's not that old. South Carolina, 260 passing yards a game, 118.8 rushing yards a game, 32.2 points per game offensively, while giving up 199.5 passing yards a game, 192.4 rushing yards a game, and 27.5 points per game defensively. South Carolina, what did y'all say when y'all beat Tennessee? Defense had to drop their nuts. Y'all gonna have to drop your nuts this game. I have South Carolina winning this game. I don't think North Carolina's gonna get many stops against us because they don't get many stops against anybody. South Carolina, like I said, Spencer Rattler, the game is becoming easier to him. So I think Spencer Rattler is going to be able to shoot out with Drake May. I think the SEC talent versus the ACC talent we have is just going to overwhelm them slightly. I think, like I said, I think we win this game. I think it's going to be close because I can't discount Drake May on the other side, but we don't know who his weapons are for real. We don't. His top 2 weapons are gone. So I'm going to go with South Carolina. I think Juice Wells has a good game. Trey Knox might find the end zone from in the red zone. Eddie Lewis had 11 touchdowns in Memphis. I'm pretty sure he'll find the end zone. Give me South Carolina. Another thing, I have no problem with us having to replace corners. We've done it with Captain Munderland, replaced him. We replaced Stephon Gilmore. We replaced J.C. Horn. We've replaced guys. I have confidence in our track record at cornerback at South Carolina. So give me South Carolina. Moving on, we go to Toledo at Illinois. Toledo at Illinois Saturday, 7:30 p.m. on Big Ten Network. If you'd like to tune in. Toledo's under eighth-year head coach Jason Candle. Daquan Finn returns after winning the MAC championship last year against Ohio. Daquan has a lot on offense and defense, except the D-line. The D-line is basically gone. One of them even now is a coach, so shout out to him. Quinyon Mitchell, versus Isaiah Williams should be fun to watch. Their best corner, I have in the running for Jim Thorpe, versus Isaiah Williams, who's their best returning receiver. That should be fun to watch. Toledo has 224.6 passing yards a game, 177.6 rushing yards a game, and 31.3 points per game offensively, while giving up 185.5 passing yards a game, 146.5 rushing yards a game, 25.5 points per game defensively. Illinois brings back Brett Bielema, third-year head coach at Illinois, coming from Wisconsin. Luke Altmaier, named starting quarterback, the Ole Miss transfer, has to replace a lot on offense and defense. Tommy DeVito, now gone, actually just got cut. Chase Brown, now gone on the Bengals, unfortunately, as a Ravens fan. His brother, Sidney Brown, now gone on the Eagles. Devon Witherspoon, now gone on the Seahawks. That secondary was the best secondary in my opinion. 3/4 of it is gone. Jatavius Martin, now gone. So they got a lot to replace there. A lot of production. Illinois giving up. Can that defense replicate with those guys left behind? It's going to be really hard to do. The best secondary in the country is going to be really hard to replicate. I don't see it. But that's why you play the games, folks. Illinois, 211.8 passing yards a game, 167.3 rushing yards a game, 24.2 points per game offensively, while giving up 165.4 passing yards a game, 98.4 rushing yards a game, and 12.3 points per game. 12.3 points per game is phenomenal. Can it be replicated? I don't think so. Now, I'm going to give this game to Illinois, but I think Toledo keeps it close. Toledo isn't a bad MAC school, but Daquan Finn can get a little accident prone. I think Brett can send a little pressure his way, get in touch. I think Jim Leonard, it's like a defensive analyst or something like that there now, so he can get with Jim Leonard. They can get together, scheme up some things to get Daquan Finn to, turn the ball over, maybe misread the coverage here and there. Illinois can get to him. Illinois, I don't think a lot of points is going to be scored in this game. Let's look at the over-under for this game. I think the books might agree with me here. So I just think Illinois wins by a touchdown. Maybe 10 at the most. So I don't think Toledo's going to get shut out. I think Toledo finds the end zone a couple times, but I think Illinois does as well. All right, so the line is 9.5, and the over-under is 45.5. So y'all can do with that information if y'all want. So like I said, it's not a gambling show, but if y'all want me to in the comments, just, type a little something. I'll do a little something for you. But give me Illinois defense. I think it's just going to be a little too much for MAC school. Now, this can be an underrated game right here. Incarnate Word at UTEP. We've seen UTEP last week lose to Jack State, which, again, great game. The game is Saturday, 7 o'clock on ESPN+. So you won't find this on TV, but you can watch it through the ESPN app if you have ESPN+, which I am a member of, for mid-major college basketball. So when that season gets in, I will talk more about that. But Incarnate Word, new head coach Clint Kellogg has to replace Lindsey Scott Jr. I think Lindsey Scott Jr. entered the transfer portal, did not find a home. Or I think he ran out of eligibility. No, I think he ran out of eligibility. Zach Calzada is the projected start. Coming from Texas A&M and Auburn. I think they didn't name a starter, but I seen 2 transfers, and I think he's the better of the 2. So I'm going to just project him, but we don't know who the starter is. Last year, offense was very explosive. so explosive. It got them to the semifinals of the FCS playoffs where they lost to North Dakota State. I actually watched that game. It was really good, really exciting. But defensively, it's just non-existent there. There's no defense. Like even the game against Sacramento State, it was just like no defense. That's going to bold as an issue. UTEP, Gavin Hardison, please stop throwing picks. Threw 2 picks last year, including one to lose the game. Well, in my opinion, they should have just kicked the field goal. You have to trust your kicker. Gavin Hardison has to protect the football. Get the ball to Kelly Akari and Tyron Smith. Those are your playmakers on the outside. You have to feed them the ball. You see Kelly Akari to go up and get it. So just feed him the ball, man. One-on-one. If he got a step, give it to him. They'll win it. Deion Hankins, they have to get Deion Hankins going. They have to get these running lanes open so Deion Hankins could slash through them. UTEP defense has to show that last week Jack State running ability was a fluke. I know they were saying all throughout the broadcast that Jack State had like one of the best running performances against this UTEP defense. They have to show next week, this Saturday, why that is the case and why it was just fluke. And you're not going to be able to run on us just like they did. If they can do that, force Incarnate Word to pass. If they force them to become one-dimensional, then they can then settle in the game themselves. Defense has to sink their teeth in this game. That's my last note. They have to. Like I said, if you turn the team one-dimensional, that's basically sinking your teeth into the game. Now let's take over from there. This game, I have UTEP winning. I don't think UTEP starts the season 0-2. I think they're a better Conference USA team than that. Incarnate Word does have upset potential here, though. I will say that. Now, the last game I have on this Saturday broadcast. Thank y'all. First of all, before I get to it, thank you for, if you've been here the whole time, thank you for rocking with me. I know it's been a long one, but we have 25 games to preview. I'm on game, I think, 21 right now. So just thank you for hanging in there with me. Sit tight. It's almost done. We move on to Sam Houston State at BYU. Saturday, 10:15 p.m., Fox Sports 1. If you'd like to tune into that game, Sam Houston State is under Coach Casey Keeler, 10th-year head coach. No starting quarterback named yet, but if this is any tip to a starting quarterback, Keegan Shoemaker has been named the captain of the team. So they haven't announced the starter, but they've announced captains, and a quarterback has named one of them. So that's any tip. Sam Houston State redshirted a lot of key players from what I saw in articles that to prepare for this move from the FCS to the FBS. They wanted to keep guys' eligibility so they can be ready and prepared for this FBS schedule. First FBS game as an FBS school, like I just mentioned. Can they keep the 6-game win streak alive for FBS debuts? Jack State did last week. Can Sam Houston State make it 7? I didn't do stats on Sam Houston State because FCS is way different than the FBS. Same for Incarnate Word. Didn't do stats for that because, again, FCS is different than FBS. But you can average in the FCS, probably won't be averaging the FBS even if you have the same team. So I threw the numbers out the window here. BYU, Kalani Sitake, 8th-year head coach here, has to replace Jaron Hall and Puka Nacua. They had the replacement and Keaton Slovis. I'm not really a fan of Keaton Slovis. Keaton Slovis is going to have to show me. He's bounced around from SC to Pitt to now BYU. Can just in his last final year, can he finally show me something? I don't know. A lot of hype around Keaton Slovis while he was at SC, but the hype has died down. They returned 11 starters, 4 on offense, 7 on defense. So they got things to build on from the defensive last year. Offensively is looking brand new. Can BYU get Aiden Robbins going on the ground? Good question there. I think they can. BYU had 249.7 passing yards a game, 176.3 rushing yards a game, and 31.3 points per game offensively, while giving up 235.7 passing yards a game, 172.8 rushing yards a game, and 30 points per game defensively. So they're giving up as much as they score. I think BYU wins, however. They build from this defense last year. Sam Houston State, while they won the FCS championship 2 years ago, this team is not the same. The offense is not as explosive. Can it be explosive? We'll see with them players that's being redshirted now that they're eligible. We'll see if they can be. I don't know if they can be. They had a down year last year after coming off that FCS championship game. Win. But I don't know. I don't think that offense is going to be explosive. I think it's going to take time for Sam Houston to settle into the FBS level. For those reasons, I'll take BYU. Northwestern at Rutgers. Northwestern is under interim head coach David Braun after the whole Fitzgerald incident that is remaining, is ongoing, it's under investigation. So can Northwestern stay focused with all that going on around the program? They already weren't a great school. Now you have this as well. All this turmoil doesn't bode well for Northwestern as a season. I think this is going to go terrible for Northwestern. Northwestern, 210.3 passing yards a game, 125.1 rushing yards a game, and 13.8 points per game offensively, while giving up 183.4 passing yards a game, 191.3 rushing yards a game, and 28.3 points per game defensively. Now, Rutgers isn't all that much better. They're better, but not that much better. Rutgers, under Greg Schiano, fourth-year head coach. Gavin Wimsatt, starting quarterback, returned 7 starters on defense, so there's something to build on there. I know they started off good on defense, but later on the line, when they got into the meat and potatoes of the schedule, the defense didn't look so hot. And probably because they were on the field a lot, because the offense couldn't do much. But still, can the offense finally grow legs? Remains to be seen. I don't know. I don't think so. Defense improved on last year. Exactly. They can build on them. Rutgers, 153.9 passing yards a game, 128.2 rushing yards a game, 17.4 points per game offensively, while giving up 206.8 passing yards a game, 142.9 rush yards a game, 29.3 points per game defensively. I'm going to take Rutgers in this one just because, like I said, Northwestern's going through a lot of turmoil. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be tough to focus on a football game with what they're all going through. Rutgers comes in. They're focused. They're ready to go. Rutgers takes the W. From there, we go to 18 Oregon State at San Jose State, Sunday at 3:30 on CBS if you'd like to tune in. Oregon State, Jonathan Smith, 6-year head coach. DJ Uiagalelei is now the starting quarterback there. So Grill Bronson is out. Damian Martinez returns as running back, which I saw he was like all Pac-12 first team, so shout out there. Returned 13 starters, 8 on offense, 5 on defense. Like I said in my Pac-12 preview, defensively, they have a lot that they lost, so they have a lot to replace, which was their strong suit. So that's why I'm kind of low on Oregon State this year. Can that defense be great without Jaden Grant and Rajon Wright gone? Again, nah, I don't think so. And can they reload? That's yet to be answered. So Oregon State, 199.5 passing yards a game, 196.5 rushing yards a game, 32.2 points per game on offense, while giving up 228.3 passing yards a game, 114 rushing yards a game, 21.4 points per game defensively. Now, San Jose State, I have some notes since they've played. San Jose State, can Chavon Cordero put pressure on the defense with his legs? Can he get them to, loosen up coverage on the outside, tighten the box, and get one-on-ones? They must not let week 0 blowout deter them from Oregon State, because Oregon State isn't SC. They're not going to score on almost every single possession like SC did. SC is way more explosive, got the way better quarterback, way better offense. They have to just take week 0 with a grain of salt and just realize SC is a far more superior opponent than Oregon State. Can they get Kyrie Robinson going on the ground? Like I said, that depends on how great Oregon State defense is compared to last year. And can they build on scoring 28 points against SC, even though SC isn't really that great of a defense? But can they use that as a confidence builder? I'm going to go with Oregon State taking this W. I think Oregon State is just a better team. San Jose State is going to fight, don't get me wrong. But the DJU era starts now, and I mean, hopefully it goes well. I'm going to take Oregon State. LSU not at Florida State, but Florida State is essentially the home team. In Orlando, Sunday, 7:30 on ABC. Rematch for LSU, who lost because of a blocked extra point last year. LSU, Brian Kelly, second-year head coach. Jaden Daniels, second year there. Him and Malik Neighbors look to return to have great seasons. To me, Jaden Daniels have to prove to be a better passer in the passing game. Like I said in my SEC preview, I can't keep living off that freshman year there. He has to improve and be a consistent passer. Harold Perkins, LSU is looking to be the best defender in the country. has the best defender in the country potential. I think he does at least. So look at him to be all over the field between linebacker, rushing the passer, outside Sam Will. Just look for Harold Perkins to be everywhere. Returned 13 starters, 8 on offense, 5 on defense. So they have a lot to build off that LSU team of last year who went to the SEC championship game and lost to Georgia. LSU, can that secondary reload? I believe so. LSU's been good at recruiting DBs lately, so I think that secondary can reload. LSU returned 269.3 passing yards a game, 183.7 rushing yards a game, 34.5 points per game while giving up 209.1 passing yards a game, 152.5 rushing yards a game, and 23.7 points per game. Not to mention they bring Logan Diggs in from Notre Dame, so the running game will be just fine. Now, Florida State, Mike Norvell in his 4th year as head coach. It was rumblings of people wanting Mike Norvell gone before last year. So last year really saved Mike Norvell. If he didn't have the year he had, he might have been on the hot seat. But now people love him. It's just the fickle world we live in. One day they hate you, the next day they love you. So shout out to Mike Norvell. Jordan Travis. This starts your Heisman campaign, in my opinion. I know I have Jordan Travis winning the Heisman. This right here Sunday starts the campaign. You have a great game. You win this game. Takes you up a notch in the Heisman Trophy walk. Got a new weapon in Keon Coleman, as I stated earlier. So that to go with Johnny Wilson should be huge. The running back is returned. So Jared Verse, best defensive end in the nation, probably a top 10 pick next year. Can he wreak havoc on Jaden Daniels in his offense? Returned 16 starters, 8 on offense, 8 on defense. So a veteran group built, like I said, in the mix for playoff contention. Florida State, 270.2 pass yards a game, 214.1 rushing yards a game, 36.1 points per game, giving up 158.9 passing yards a game, 148.3 rushing yards a game, and 19.7 points per game defensively. Give me Florida State in this game in the technical upset, 8-5. Florida State, man, I understand LSU's out for revenge, but I think Florida State is just a better team, has the better quarterback. Harold Perkins and Jared Verse, how they impact the game defensively against one another will be phenomenal to watch. You know what? That's probably going to be more even as exciting as watching Jordan Travis, the Keon Coleman, or Jaden Daniels, the Malik Neighbors, to be all honest with you. But I think Florida State is just a better team. Florida State is going to they're going to be able to execute on offense more and better than LSU. LSU, it took some time last year for Jaden Daniels to execute. He had to execute a 90-plus yard game-tying drive, which he did do, but that was mainly because we'll give you passes here, but you can't be this deep-type defense. I just think Florida State defense sinks its teeth into the game with Ronaldo Green and Jared Verse more in this game. Give me Florida State. And our last game, I know it's been a long ride. Clemson, number 9 Clemson at Duke, Monday, 8:00 p.m. on ESPN. Clemson, Dabo Swinney in his 16th year as head coach. The Cade Klubnik era starts now. This is now Cade Klubnik's team. Will Shipley is one of the best backs in the country. He has returned. Dominate the trenches, which they will. They will dominate these trenches. Return 15 starters, 7 on offense, 8 on defense. So they have a lot they can build on from last year, even though the offense last year looked abysmal. These points per game are going to throw you off, but don't get it confused. This offense was not great. Clemson having 232.4 passing yards a game, 177.9 rushing yards a game, and 33.2 points per game, while giving up 230.2 passing yards a game, 101.1 rushing yards a game, and 20.1 points per game defensively. We move on to Duke with Mike Elko, second-year head coach, rookie season as a head coach, won ACC Coach of the Year. So shout out to him. Just amazing work he did with Duke last year with Riley Leonard. Riley Leonard returns, was a huge piece of this Duke offense as a quarterback. Returns 17 starters as well, 8 offense, 9 defense. Can the defense improve on last year? Because last year Duke's defense was not great, just like North Carolina's defense was not great. Can the offense get more explosive? If the defense don't improve, then the offense is going to have to get more explosive because, Duke, 231.5 passing yards a game, 184.2 rushing yards a game, 32.8 points per game, while giving up 262.3 passing yards a game, 120.3 rushing yards a game, and 22.8 points per game defensively. Give me Clemson. Clemson's going to be able to get to Riley Leonard. They're going to put Riley Leonard on his back a couple times. Can Duke protect Leonard? I don't think so. Not with those trenches to Clemson. Clemson's offense with Will Shipley is just going to be able to run the ball up and down the field. I understand they only gave up 120.3 rushing yards a game, but Clemson is a good team when it comes to that. Clemson has a new offensive coordinator that comes from TCU, so he might be able to get with Klubnik to improve that passing game, make the passing game better. So that's something to look out for Monday as well. So give me Clemson in that game. And with that being said, that is the end of this week 1 preview. Again, if you roll with me this long, I appreciate you. If you were even in and out, I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, it'll be another great week of college. And with that being said, I'm out. Peace.
Thank you for staying to the end. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like this video, subscribe, and also hit that notification button so you can be notified next time we put out a video. If you're listening on any podcast platform, subscribe and hit that notification button, y'all, so you can be notified we put out another podcast audio. And last but not least, hit that share button. No matter what you're listening to or watching it, hit that share button and send it to somebody that you know that would love to watch this episode you just listened to. So once again, thank you for staying to the end, and we'll see y'all at the next episode.